Hour 3 ITG. Welcome back. Presented by the South Carolina Education Lottery and our friends at Electric Bikes of Charleston, electricbikescharleston.com. The best warranties, best service, Gamecock owned and operated, and folks from everywhere come to purchase from Electric Bikes of Charleston. Visit electricbikescharleston.com. They would even they even make them where 6'5", 320-pound centers can sit on them and not flatten the tires like Big John Strickland, who joins us here in hour 3. He's not 320 anymore, though, boys and girls.
You're not going to want to hear this. I don't know if y'all can see my lip.
Uh-oh. Oh, gosh.
I can, yeah. Did you get stung?
And my hands?
What happened,
no.
dude?
How's the other
guy? What JB was just promoting, I ate concrete on.
Oh. Been there.
Phil, tell him.
I've been there. Yeah, I know. It sucks, John. Especially when you're tall, because we have a tenuous relationship with the ground anyway. So I know.
Yes. Yeah. Happened earlier this week. So took some of my hair off right here, skipped me up, and
golly,
I tried to catch myself, like this.
Yep.
But your hands are on the handlebars and coming off. Yeah, I couldn't get there fast enough. So back of my hands caught first, skin them all up.
Oh my gosh! Hold on just a second. Let me to not ruin sales at Electric Bikes of Charleston. Let me remind everybody, insurance does cover.
Yeah, that's right.
This was my own fault, not paying attention to what I was doing. So,
oh man, well,
good thing you're tough, man.
Yeah, play
I'm
like
good.
a champion, right? Get up.
I'm good to go. It'll be healed here in the next few days, so I'm not worried about it.
Well, that's you look about like Oklahoma's offense looked after last Saturday's ball game, John.
Got beat up, right?
Yeah. Got punched in the mouth, didn't they?
Well, like I said last Friday, riding in the car up there, I told y'all I thought this was going to be a great opportunity for our defense to shine, and that's why I had no worries about last weekend. I thought our defense was just way too good for Oklahoma.
Best defensive performance I've seen.
A long time.
Yeah, I'm trying to. John,
12 years.
24 tackles for loss, 14 sacks, and a combined score, and I think it's something like 6 turnovers and a combined score of 66-15 in road games this year in Lexington and in Norman, Oklahoma. And people can argue all they want about how good those teams ultimately end up being. Of course, they'd be better had they beaten the Gamecocks. Carolina has contributed to those records for anybody wondering, right? Yep. I'm not so sure is good. I'm with you. We talked all summer long about how good this defense had a chance to be. A lot of people wanted to see it first, and they're very fair. That's good. But I'm not so sure that we could have anticipated those numbers I just gave in road games, almost winning in Tuscaloosa. This is a program that's been very much up or down on the road. Obviously, they beat Clemson on the road a couple of years ago, but outside of that, and a Kentucky win in that same season, 2022, it's been spotty at best away from Williams-Brice, and they have been as good as they've been at all this season when they're not playing on their home turf.
Yeah, I mean, they say when you go on the road, pack your defense, right? And I actually think we've done that in every single road game so far this year. The defense has given us a chance to win every single one of those games, and we're 2-1. I know we wish we could have the Bama one back. If one fumble less, I think you probably win that Alabama game.
Yeah, I mean, look, man. Even with the loss in T-Town, we've got this off week here, right? And we're going to get to the offense and all that stuff in a minute. But they know what they're capable of with what's left, right, John? I mean, you've got 5 games in November, which I love that. We get to watch them play 5 times in November. They're all games that are, I think, very winnable for a multitude of reasons. But I think something that Coach Beamer said last week really resonated the more I've thought about it this week. They'd had enough. Enough. What happened in Tuscaloosa? They just flat out had enough, and the offense has to improve but that defense played like a bunch of rattlesnakes last weekend. If they keep that attitude up, they're going to win a lot of games in November.
I can tell you this, in the stadium, man, this is no lie. We get the first interception, offense looks great, goes right down the field, scores. And we're just like, everybody, all of us Gamecock fans in that big section probably had 8,000 of us, maybe 10,000 total inside the whole stadium.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that. How many did you think were there?
I'd say 8,000 to 10,000. I mean, it's a big road crowd. And, I think Oklahoma only gives out like 4,000 tickets to visitors.
Oh.
Gamecock fans bought them things up. So it was, we were rolling deep in the bars before the game. I mean, there was Gamecock cheers everywhere. I'll say this about my Oklahoma. We did the stadium ranking back this summer. Obviously, we set the tone and kind of took the crowd out of it. But Oklahoma is mid-tier at best atmospheres.
Yeah, John, what I heard about
place.
that was like the tailgate scene just is non-existent, and people show up like maybe an hour before the game. Did you see a lot of tailgates?
Well, it was an early kick too, though, right?
That's
like
not
Gamecock
true.
fans are out there at 7 a.m., JV. You know that.
Yeah, no, that's not true. Now, we took the Amtrak from OKC down to Norman. So an Uber ride with traffic, you're probably 35 to 45 minutes. We jumped on the Amtrak. It was $7 a person. That thing runs 80 miles an hour. We were in Norman in 18 minutes from Oklahoma City.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. So we got there at 8:50, and we went straight to a bar, got us a table on a rooftop in downtown, and a bunch of bar was flooded with Gamecock fans. But no, I'll say this. So when we started walking into the game, we walked in a little early just to hit some tailgates because I had some friends that met a bunch of Oklahoma people. Now, they had a cool tailgate experience. They had tents everywhere. It was pretty cool. So that part of the tailgate, they were out there full force at like 9 o'clock in the morning, rocking and rolling. But it's a historic place, and it was a cool place to go to. We had a great trip. Actually met a ton of people that came up to me that watched this show that wanted to hang out and talk to me. So
awesome.
Yep, that was pretty cool. But
They don't do that. Overall, they don't do that to me.
Well, John, John's a mountain of a man, and he sticks out. And he actually, played football.
Yeah, that's right. I was taller than 5'8". Maybe somebody'd spot me from time to time.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John. Sorry about that.
But yeah, I mean, as far as like the atmosphere at that stadium, it was mid. And I was talking to an older gentleman, who's probably in his 60s. He said, y'all don't beat us too bad today. Y'all's two bookends y'all got are probably going to wear us out today. And I said, well, I know y'all's defense is really good too. So I got a feeling, if there's not a lot of turnovers, I think it's going to be a low scoring game. Because everybody knows what Oklahoma's defense is made of. I mean, they are really good. Don't get it twisted. They're really good. And I said, well, next year you need to make sure you come to Columbia, because if you want to see the SEC atmosphere, I was like, make sure you come. He says, oh, don't worry, we already have that game circled. Next year we're coming to Columbia. So Oklahoma fans are great, super nice people. Now that I've pretty much been to every stadium, I'd say Oklahoma and Auburn fans. Remember, I told y'all Auburn fans were the best. Oklahoma people agreed on their trip to Auburn from all the ones I talked to. And I'd put Oklahoma right up there with the Auburn fans. It's like coolest fans. There's no like heckling. There's no like talking crap or whatever. They're just super nice people, and glad you were there in Oklahoma to enjoy the game.
God, they're gonna hate Georgia.
Oh, they're gonna hate Georgia.
Yeah, they're gonna hate that. Yeah.
Yeah, Auburn's real nice until Alabama comes in. Too.
Well, that's a different deal.
That gets their blood boiling. But yeah, I've been to Auburn 3 times. Very good experience.
Same thing with us, JC. I mean, I've been to multiple road trips where we've, other fan bases have. Auburn has said the same thing that John said. Man, every time we've been to Columbia, we've been treated very well. but I bet it's a little bit different when Clemson's in Columbia. I'm like, you got that right. You know,
Yeah,
it's just
Clemson actually has a reputation around the country of being like extremely friendly. Because they're from our state too. Yeah. Unfortunately, but they're nice too. And I'm like, who in the hell are you talking about?
Yeah,
I had an A&M buddy that flew in there, and like, Clemson people they gave me a sandwich, and I'm like, and then you go to LSU and get hit with the sandwich. But
sandwich, God, that's a soft landing. A&M's got great fans, John.
Yeah, I've been to A&M a bunch. Actually, my stepson goes to A&M, so there you go.
He's not one of their cheerleaders, is he?
No, definitely not. Okay. He makes fun of that a little bit, but he's just there to get the good education. Okay. But anyways, with the Oklahoma fans, they were great, but we took them out of the game so fast. After Nick did that pick six, there were people already walking out. There was still 10 minutes left in the first quarter.
Yeah, that was my reaction. I was like, send them home. Just send them home.
Oh, Lord. Gamecock section, man, it was one big party there the whole game. Everybody was drinking, just having a good time.
It was really fun. Unbelievable, to be honest.
It was.
I kept waiting for a flag to fall.
Yeah, we were all in shock. We all know what our defense is by now. So I guess not so much shocked with what happened, but that we scored on 2 turnovers and 3 turnovers in 6 plays.
Just so quickly. It just happened so fast.
That's 5.5 minutes. I was like, wow. Yeah.
I know. Well,
so John, a quick question for you, because I've seen this on social media and the Big Spur and other places. And look, could the offense have had a better game? I know JB said we get to the offense later, but what happens on the sideline when you're up 21-0 that quickly? Just as a former player and someone that's been around the game for forever, what's that atmosphere like? Because I know in the stands it's fun, but on the sideline, what is it?
Oh, it's fun on the sideline too. I mean, you're excited, and you're just so. It maybe sometimes gives it to you in your brain, we're just so much better than them, and then you kind of maybe get a little overconfident sometimes. So maybe that can kind of slow you down a little bit. But here's what I know we're going to get to the offensive part, but just a mindset, I think coach's mindset. When you have a defense as good as ours and you're up 21-0 that soon, and Oklahoma's offense is not great, you kind of get a little conservative, complacent, and all right, let's protect the ball. If we don't turn the ball over here and we don't give them anything, even if we have to punt, our defense is going to hold them. So I think that's kind of what you saw the majority of that game.
We're going to come back to that, John. Let's hit a quick timeout so we can really dive into it and get your thoughts. I've been waiting all week long to get your thoughts on this, and so we're going to let you do all the talking when we get back. I do want to remind everybody that tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock, you should, if you're in the Midlands area, head out to Founders Park and go get your first look at Paul Maneri's Gamecocks. We had Coach on Wednesday, and can't wait to see what this group looks like. He's excited. They'll be in the Low Country on Thursday, November the 7th. But Air Force is here tomorrow. And remember, they'll be back in 2026. He made that really neat announcement on our program the second weekend of the 2026 season, which is just one season away. It will be a round-robin event at Founders Park, Army, Navy, Air Force, and the University of South Carolina. So the Falcons will be here this weekend. They're already in town. They've got the 14-inning scrimmage beginning tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock. So make sure you get out there and check out the paratroopers and all that. Get in there early and tailgate with some TVs and watch some football and watch some baseball. I think it's going to be about 83 degrees tomorrow in Columbia, so it's going to be a beautiful day to watch some ball. All right, when we return, we'll get heavily into the offense. JC, Matt, Mad Dog, and myself all have questions for Big John, and Carolina's got the weekend off as they wait for the Aggies to make it to town. We'll turn our attention to that as well. Hang tight. ITG, powered by Electric Bikes of Charleston and presented by Palm Casual. We'll be right back.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the two of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cars while you're at it.
I knew I liked that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, Freddie.
You bet.
Mr. Bones is very strong. Mr. Bones is never wrong. Mr. Bones, he has no nose. Mr. Bones, he has no clothes. Mr. Bones, he has no nose. Mr. Bones, he has no clothes. Mr. Bones, he has no hair. Mr. Bones, he doesn't care. Mr. Bones is made of bones. That is why he's Mr. Bones. Mr. Bones, he's made of bones. That is why he's Mr. Bones. Mr. Bones is very strong. Mr. Bones is never wrong. Mr. Bones, he has no nose. Mr. Bones, he has no clothes. Mr. Bones, he has no hair. Mr. Bones, he doesn't care. Mr. Bones is made of bones. That is why he's Mr. Bones. Mr. Bones is very strong. Mr. Bones is never wrong.
126. Welcome back inside the Gamecocks, the show. All right. I know you're proud, JC. Let it all out.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Mr. Bones.
We're getting close to seeing Phil dressed up as a Conehead next week. Real quick, couple things I just want to add real quick, guys, before we move back in. According to, and we were talking to Coach Parrish this morning, really happy and thankful that Coach Parrish joined our programming. But according to Kyle Boone, Gary Parrish, and Matt Norlander with CBS Sports, they've got Colin Murray Boyles ranked as the 19th best player in the country here in 24-25. That's one quick nugget we haven't gotten to today. And then also there was a Board of Trustees meeting today. As part of that Board of Trustees meeting is the future of Williams-Brice Stadium and a project that is being currently worked on. JC, myself, both Matt and Phil and John, all of us have heard behind the scenes a bunch of things that none of us really can actually confirm, but probably could say that we could confirm, but can't do it. So that's not what we're going to do here. So we're going to just let them announce what they announce, and hopefully it'll be soon. I do understand that there are things right now that they're kind of working on to get stuff to the public, and that will probably come after we go off the air, and we'll be able to talk about that next week.
Just remember, good things come in time.
We speculated on it yesterday informedly, thanks to somebody who texted me.
I'll just tell you. It was me, and I told JC to probably not to say nothing, but there's a few things I've heard. JC kind of touched on it already this week, and there's several different ideas and plans. Don't know which one they're going to go with. I think the one that I told JC about actually sounds pretty cool. It sounds pretty cool. It'll probably reduce the stadium down to mid 60s, upper 60s. But they have such a hard time. That visitor side, the east side upper deck. Yeah. They always just give those tickets away to military personnel, which is great. I love that. But they want to make it more fun for the fans. Okay. And, we live in a smaller state versus, some of these other bigger states. that can just fill these stadiums up. And, I think we could fill ours up to 70 every week, no problem. And then on big games, when this team's good, you can pack it out. But I think they want to, I think there's more revenue to be made for the university. And there's some really nice options for this new seating that's going to be coming out, new design. I think it'll be super cool, super fun.
I would concur with that based on what we've seen. I think but we'll see. We'll see. Look, everybody gets nervous. I understand why people freak out about it. I grew up in Williams-Brice Stadium. That's been like home to me for almost knocking on the door of 40 years here. JC grew up in Williams-Brice Stadium. Matt grew up in Williams-Brice Stadium. John, you didn't grow up in Williams-Brice Stadium, but for the majority of your life, you have grown up in Williams-Brice Stadium.
Yeah.
That is home to us. We walk in there, we know the people we sit with. We've sat with them for years. Yep. We've watched it evolve. We've seen great moments. We've had heartbreak. We've cried. You have so many emotions from a place like that. You hate to see change because it's all you've known. But I will say this. I won't speak for any of y'all. Based on the little things that I know about what they're planning to do, it will all be for the better. They're not going to leave the little guy out in the universe having to. They're not going to do that. It is literally all of this will be good for South Carolina. It's just hard to embrace it until you see it. But when you see it, you'll embrace it.
And when you see it, go ahead, John.
I was just going to say the change is for the better. It's for the better experience for the fans. And I think if they do what I'm hearing, it's going to be a really cool place. But go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is the same thing that JB mentioned earlier. You sit around the same people every year. And I can't tell you the last time I've gone to a game and someone hasn't pointed out, look at the Upper East. That looks terrible. It looks bad on TV. It looks bad exactly wherever. Right. And these are the things that they're fixing, not just for the in-game experience, but for also what's presented to the rest of the country. Anytime Williams-Brice is featured.
I just say this. It's just like me and Brewer, okay? Me and Brewer have had our seats together since like 2007, okay? We sit together, me and Brewer, we put the wives on the other end of us. Me and Brewer sit side by side, and we're into the game, talking the game the whole time. So, there's a chance maybe that could get broken up, but, who knows? I'm sure maybe we could have a little pool over there to make sure that doesn't happen.
But. Here's the thing people have to realize. It's not like John in your era. East Upper was full of season ticket holders. When you played it, but what they got was like the partial package. At the time, Clemson was bringing 12,000, Georgia was bringing 10, Tennessee was bringing 10, and they got that many tickets. Yeah, so you would get you could get every ticket but Georgia or every ticket but Clemson on alternating years, and people took advantage of that and got it. With TVs being better, with technology, every game's on TV now. It has gotten more expensive. Some people have gotten older. Some people have moved away. East Upper is not the Gamecock party that it once was.
No.
I sat there for the Kentucky game in 2021. Granted, we were coming off a pandemic and crowds were light that year, but it just wasn't the same. Because I told my wife, I was like, hey, it's fun in East Upper. It's stupid me. And so those tickets aren't selling, and the tickets at the top row and the south end zone aren't selling unless a big visiting crowd comes in or it's a huge game. And I mean, even LSU game day and everything's coming, and they announce sellouts, but it's rarely packed. I think the number will look dramatic if it goes to say 67. Oh my God, that's 14,000 seats that are gone. Well, they're not selling. They're not. There's not that many people coming in. Florida game a couple of years ago, the announced attendance was 73, and I know for a fact they scanned 58,000 tickets. It's going to be more full and louder, and I don't think they're going to break anybody up because I don't think there's a whole lot of people who sit at East Upper in groups
I don't
anymore.
think you'll need
Right.
to. Yeah,
Right.
you won't really need to
Right.
do that. Right.
Yeah, and it's just like when I was out at Oklahoma. They announced attendance was 80,547. It popped up on the board. Well, that stadium holds right around 80 to 84,000. Well, on their visitor side, and especially the upper deck, I mean, there was at least 8 to 10,000 empty seats at that game.
You can see it on TV too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
At the beginning of the game, not after the first 6 minutes.
Yeah, at the beginning. Yeah.
And I'll add this real quick and let you guys talk more. It's going to happen at Florida pretty soon.
Right. Florida's coming way down.
Florida, the Swamp is like 90 right now. It's going to be like 62 because they're taking the benches out and putting like regular seats like pro stadiums have.
Yeah.
And they're going to build more suites. And here's why this is for the greater good. And I definitely understand the issues. It's a point of pride to have 85,000, right? South Carolina has less luxury suites than any program, and this is for the crowd that says they're just catering to the rich. No. South Carolina has less luxury suites than any other program in the SEC outside of Vandy. And Vandy still hasn't caught them, but Vandy just spent how many millions building that end zone, which you'll all see when you go to Nashville, and that's luxury seating. Those are the money schools make off of those are unbelievable. The markup is incredible because companies pay for it, rich people pay for it, and there is a waiting list. My understanding is about a half decade to a decade long to get a suite at Williams Brice. Yeah. So they're almost. I mean, they're probably in some ways pre-sold. You're gonna have to start paying players with this new revenue share thing, and you better be able to have a way to make that money up, or you're gonna have to do things like cutting sports. And have not being able to pay coaches and things like that. And that goes for every school. And with South Carolina, it makes sense when you have a hole in your revenue compared to your peers when it comes to these luxury boxes. Why not build them? And why not build them where nobody else is seating? And you may not be able to give Clemson fans 8,000 to 9,000 tickets anymore. Who cares?
Don't give them any.
So that's that could be it. And I don't think prices are going to go up either. I think that.
Well, I'll tell you this. The Gamecock Club dues are going up this upcoming year for anybody who's a Gamecock Club member. I'm a Silver Spur, so mine has went up from $3,500 a year to $4,000. So it went up $500, and then if you're a full scholarship, it's going to go up like $350 or something, and then trickle down or the other way. So, but yeah, these luxury suites, that they're talking about putting in on the east side. I mean, you can get $60,000 to $75,000 per season for 7 games. You can get $60,000 to $75,000 for one of these 12 to 16 seat boxes, versus tickets you got to sell at $25 a ticket over there. I mean, it's a game changer, and it's for revenue, and it's for the better of the university, and I think just the fan experience as a whole. But
Strick, I'll say this too, and I want to talk some ball here in a second, but I don't want anyone to think that this all came about because of NIL specifically, and also because of what the NCAA said, where you have to pay $20 million a year. Like, this stuff was in the works long before. This isn't like a knee-jerk reaction. This has been coming a long time, and it's also just a way that South Carolina has actually been ahead of the curve in their planning and what they're trying to do. And South Carolina doesn't get a lot of credit for that a lot of the time, but this has been in the works for 3 years.
If
more than that,
if they would have done it as they originally wanted to do it, this whole entire project, which is circumvent the state legislature and that procurement process, which I kind of thought knowing how things go, is probably a pipe dream, but it would have been done quicker. I mean, you have the state of South Carolina takes forever with things like this. And most people say that. So I'm glad it's finally here because, like I said, I've been hearing about it for a couple of years now. And this is just phase 1. And there's a lot of other phases too that will be coming along. But the stadium, is going. Some people ask, are they going to keep the lights? Like the horseshoe crab, the crab look. I don't see that going anywhere. I think if anything, it'll make the stadium look more modern and aesthetically pleasing.
Yep. And last thing I'll say, and then we can get to the offense. But just this, and I'm not going to tell you who I talked to on this, but somebody in the know in the building, the $20 million cap per team in college football is going to be here sooner than you may think it is, because it was just talked about it here in the past couple of weeks, and there's meetings going on that people don't know about, and it is coming quick, and you got to have the revenue to do it. And our NIL's improved a ton. We're top 6 or 7 probably in the SEC right now.
Yeah,
we're up there. So, but this $20 million cap's gonna help out a lot. So, and we got to have the money for it. So we got to better ourselves in certain places, and stadium, more revenue is one of them. And anyways, that's it. We can move on.
Well, we do have to move on to a break because we got to hit one final one here. So we'll do that. And when we return, John, offense, it is all in your hands on ITG.
Introducing this year's Carolina Jackpot $5 scratch-off ticket, featuring a chance to win up to $200,000. You can even enter your tickets into the Second Chance promotion. Step on the court for a chance to win $50,000, $75,000, or $100,000. This Palmetto Series lets show who really runs this state.
It's a big week next week, Halloween, and the Gamecocks, Aggies, under the lights. We'll get the official kick time late on Saturday night, 7:30 or 7:45, and the network. Matt, JB, Phil, JC, and Big John Strickland. No electric bike will keep him down. Michael Flint is off today because he had to do the color run with his kids. He's pathetic. John's not, though. Carolina's offense, let's talk about that. John, look, you mentioned it. They capitalized early in the game last week off the turnovers, which is good. The second half, it was not good. And I understand the word conservative. I get it. Got it. 17 minutes they had the ball. They ran 31 plays. They accumulated 69 yards. That's not conservative to me. That's just not good when you're trying to develop quarterbacks and receivers and offensive linemen, et cetera, et cetera. But that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to tee it up for you. Tell us what you saw.
Yeah, I thought the first half the offense moved the ball very well. Lenore's looked really good. I think he's coming into his own more and more. That play for the touchdown to Simon, man, that was a thing of beauty. I mean, that thing was beautiful.
Good thing.
So the second half, you could tell the game plan was, hey, let's just try and run the ball and run the clock. Hold on to it. Let's don't turn the ball over. Let's don't force anything, do anything stupid to let Oklahoma back in the game. And we just, we come out the second half. That first drive is going great, and then we get stupid penalties. One of those things we talked about on here, just stupid stuff like that. You got to eliminate. I mean, and that's just a killer. It's actually it's a mental momentum killer when that happened, and it seems like ever since we're driving down the field that first drive of the second half, we get those stupid penalties, get backed up, and it just kind of seemed like all the air kind of went out of the offense. Luckily, the defense still had the mojo working, but we got to see some improvement. I know we gave up 5 sacks, and I've heard people all week say, man, this offensive line can't pass block anybody. But if you go back and actually watch the game, and I guess the tight ends are a part of the offensive line, but they gave up 2 of those. Clearly, they got beat on pass pro, on max protection, and gave up the sack. So,
John, to that point, really quick, talking about the tight ends, and especially in this offense, because they are being asked to block a good bit more. As an offensive lineman, do you trust the tight end to get the job done? Is it something that – because I just see
not
it.
Not in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
they left
dumb.
their tight end on Kyle Kennard like 3 times. He got
Well,
embarrassed
that
every
was-
time.
that was
John,
terrible
basically what
about
I'm
them,
saying is
too.
like when you know that a tight end's being asked to block and you can like you're under center. I mean, not under center, but you're snapping the ball. You kind of see what the defense is doing. Is there something that in your back of your mind you're like, oh crap, like this isn't a good set?
No, never thought that while playing. I will say I don't like matching a tight end up on a SEC defensive end to sit there and do pass pro and blocking. I'm not a big fan of it, but it has to be done. It's part of the tight end's job. They have to do it. They have to practice it. They have to get better at it. So do I particularly like it? No, but it's a part of every single offense in college, high school, and pro football. Tight end's going to have to block sometimes. Just going to have to nut up and block. And
Exactly
unfortunately, the tight ends got beat on pass pro twice during that game and called sacks. So, I mean, it's got to get better. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you on that. So, just for everybody that's knocking the offensive line, there's been a lot of sacks this year that are not caused by the offensive line. Let's just make sure we get that understanding straight.
John, sorry, dude.
No, go ahead.
My thing is this, I know the pass protection. I mean, they've given up a lot of sacks, and that just is what it is, and it's not all. Does it bother you they're not getting a push in the run game? Because that bothers me a lot more than the sacks. I think in the SEC, I think sometimes you have offensive lines that you get out athleted or the tight end does something or whatever, and the sacks aren't a function necessarily of them. But usually those types of guys, they're like, well, if we're going to run the ball, we can play that game. We can get physical and do that. And I see a lot of play, like way too many run play, like not even zone read option, just regular run plays just get blown up. Rocket Sanders, I think, is playing his ass off, and just has nowhere to go. What are your thoughts about the run game? And tell me I'm wrong, and there's hope.
No, you're not wrong as far as the way it looked this past weekend. No, you're not wrong at all. I will say this though, you go back and look at I'm not even going to count Akron because they just are not good. But if you go back and look at the LSU game, the Alabama game, we actually ran the ball very well. And I think I even said it on Friday. One of the things I was worried about is our offensive line going up against this tough Oklahoma defense. I mean, Oklahoma's defense is for real, guys. I mean, me being there in the stadium, and luckily all the Gamecock fan section, we were in towards the end. We were in the end zone, so we had the field of view. And I mean, those guys on Oklahoma are really good, and they did beat us. They beat us up pretty good. I think we got the best of them the first half, but the second half we just couldn't handle them. We just couldn't. So yes, that does cause me concern in the run game. Maybe some changes, maybe flirting with some stuff. Hopefully this week they see if they can do something a little bit different because it's not going to get any easier against A&M because A&M's got some really good players on defense. So, but yeah, no, you're right, JC. The run game second half was
putrid,
very, very disappointing.
It wasn't good. And with and look, here's the thing with the sacks. John, like I lean on you when it comes to this stuff. That I'm not gonna sit up here and try to tell everybody a bunch of crap that I don't really know the truth about. And that's why we have you guys on every week. But they're 133rd in the country in sacks allowed. Like at some point in time, whether I don't know why, and I don't know that they're shoot. I guess if we go by the numbers with PFF, maybe it's really not on the offensive line. According to PFF, LSU hasn't allowed any sacks all year. I saw a couple in the LSU game, but what do I know? So I mean, but like so I'm not asking you for the answer, John, because you're not the OC. You might have one or think you have one, but we don't really know unless we're in the room, right? All I know is this: they've given up 32 sacks, and like
it's nuts.
It's ridiculous. And we're looking at probably a historical defense, and people really don't want to see a season that could be really good to potentially pretty special, especially for the history of Gamecock football, go to waste with all these kids who are probably going to the NFL in the next year, 2-3 years. because an offense just once again can't be competent. So I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. I'll let you it's not really a question, more of a statement. I'll let you take it from there. But 133rd with that, I don't know how anybody can really defend it. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying in general.
Well, there's really three things that come down to your quarterback getting sacked. One is the blocking. Two is receivers not getting open.
Mm-hmm.
Three is a quarterback holding on the ball and trying to do too much. So that's your three things. I would say 60% of this year's sacks so far are probably directly on the offensive line. I would say the other 40%, so what's that, 10, are on either quarterback holding the ball or nowhere to throw. I think that is why we are where we are. Obviously, we know we have new receivers, young tight end. We have a young quarterback. We have a true freshman at left tackle, which I thought played really well last week. It's just a combination of all that stuff, and it's just stuff you got to practice and get cleaned up. Receivers got to get open. Quarterback's got to do his check down and get to the guy who's open. You can't just sit back there and hold the ball forever either, because then you're going to get sacked and everybody's like, oh, this offensive line sucks. Well, the quarterback just held the damn ball for 3 seconds.
Yeah,
I mean, you
I was about to say 3 seconds is it.
Yeah,
that's what he's got.
So, I mean, that's
sometimes
you got to get the ball out. Offensive line has to play better. There's zero doubt about it. I'm not making an excuse for them. They have to be better. They haven't been as good as I thought they would be.
I'm not going to ask you to necessarily speculate on names at all. You don't need to be in that position to do that, John. But with an off week, you've started last year. Remember, it was just musical chairs. This year they've started the same guys every week, and it ain't working. So we got an off week, and then we got 5 straight, and you're at home coming out of the off week. Do you think that just asking your opinion here? Do you think that maybe they are contemplating making a change or two because you have the extra preparation time?
I think there's maybe 2 positions.
Okay.
That you could see somebody new starting at Texas A&M. I mean, I'm not going to call those guys out because I don't want to be called out when I was a player, but I think there's 2 spots on the offensive line that you could probably take a look and say, well, maybe we should give this guy a shot and just see what happens.
You can always go back.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
The new guys,
and sometimes you know what?
It's not permanent.
This is the truth right here, because it happened to me my junior year. I got set out one game because I had a bad game one game. All right, and I went right back in after the first 2 or 3 series and played the whole rest of the game. But I was told, hey man, you had some missed assignments last week, so we're gonna give Chad Walker a shot here. Let Chad get in there and see what he can do. And and that sometimes lights the fire under your ass. Be like, hey, I need to get my shit straight and let's go. And sometimes it helps so much. It makes you have a different mentality to you instead of just being comfortable because you're the starter.
It's
the other guy comes back in and ends up being better. The bench is a powerful motivation tool.
It is.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, we'll end on this though. I mentioned earlier this week, John, the league is interesting when it comes to quarterbacks because you do have a bunch of guys who played a lot of football, either their entire careers at their respective schools or they've transferred in. But then you got a ton of young guys across the Southeastern Conference. And Lenore Sellers, I think, and I'm saying this over Nico Iamaleava as well. When I look at and I've watched them all, John. I've watched every young guy play in this league a lot. Or else I wouldn't say something like this. I think when you look at every young quarterback in this league, he has progressed from game 1 to game 7, doubled down, triple down, beyond all of them. He's gotten substantially better. I think he's the best young quarterback in the SEC. I think he's better than Nico Iamaleava, to be quite honest with you, based on what he's had to work with and the amount of production he's been able to get out, dealing with injuries, being dual threat, all those things. I don't care what anybody thinks about that statement. I believe it. I think this kid has come as far as any young quarterback in the SEC, and boy, he's got an opportunity to finish with a flourish here.
Yeah, I thought we really saw him after we got down 14-0 versus Alabama. I think you really saw Lenore Sellers just start taking off.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that's when the light switch just came on. Now, got to clean those fumbles up, and he carried the ball loose a couple of times against Oklahoma where it could have been stripped. So he's still got to work on that. But ever since we were down 14-0 in the first half to Alabama, and I thought the rest of that game he played brilliantly. And then I thought the Oklahoma game, he just looked so poised and comfortable in the pocket. Yes, so I agree. I think he is just steadily getting better. And we're going to need him to get better. Because I'll tell you this. I mean, all the games left on the schedule, we could either – I'm going to not count Wofford, but, you know, nothing against them. But I think every game left on the schedule, you can either lose it or you can win it.
Agreed.
And we're going to need some offense. I know our defense is going to do their part, but we got to help. You got to play some complementary football with each other, and the offense has got to, you know, help do some stuff instead of just always relying on the defense.
100% agreed. And you know, as critical as we've been about the offense around here, it's very, very, very. Hey, it's Friday. Don't you forget about my Chief now, Phil.
Just giving it a couple minutes. I know.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm so sorry. You're the. You know, I'm just he's just a local.
They're still better.
I would. Yeah, JC.
Yeah.
To all those points, it's absolutely 100% okay to be critical of the things we've seen on offense, but at the same time, it is and two things can be true. Dowell Loggins and Mike Shula have been developing Lenore Sellers at a very nice rate here. I mean, the kid has gotten much better, and it's okay to say that. People might not like that, but it's true. But the offensive system, obviously, it needs to get clicking, and they can win every damn one of those games, John.
Well, JB, the last thing I'll say before we let everyone go for Friday and the weekend, John, you know, Lenore's right now is averaging like 7.3 yards per pass attempt against Bama and Oklahoma. You take that as an offensive coordinator. 100%. You take that all day.
Yeah. And right now, his completion percentage is like overall.
It's like 67.
If you throw out the first game, he's right around 70% passing the ball.
Well, he's a good passer. I mean,
dude, on the road, he's even higher.
Yeah. Which is nuts.
Honestly, some of the sacks he's taken this year are to, you know, he hasn't forced the issue down the field. I haven't seen anything. The pick against LSU, he obviously got clubbed in the freaking head.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
and all that. But and that's a hard thing. Young quarterbacks sometimes with an arm talent like him, they try to force the issue downfield.
Yeah.
And that leads to a lot of interceptions. So I think he's getting better right before our eyes. I think
100% agree. And JC, you've covered college football for almost 50 years. How many young guys? How many young guys have you seen go under the lights on the road and crumble? And this kid has gone on the road and been like, "Bring it on, big dog."
Yeah, and especially this year where there's a clear delineation between in this league, which the game results, game flow, whatever you want to call it, is resembling the NFL more so than college football. Everybody calls it that now. It is, and it's because you got to play over and over and over against good teams.
Defense.
But good. You know, nobody's doing well with a young quarterback. Hell, some teams are disappointing with an old quarterback like Ole Miss and Kentucky. Vandergrift's old; he's a first-year starter, but you know, even Nico at Tennessee, that's basically how Tennessee won under Fulmer. What they're doing, they're just doing out of the shotgun really fast. They're giving it to the running back. They're throwing low, high percentage passes and playing defense at Tennessee, and that's fine. And Carolina still is like 10th points per game, and this is overall, not just it's 10th out of 14, which is not bad. And then there's teams above them like Auburn that put 70 up on Alabama State or whatever. And you know Carolina's got a better offense than them. So they're really not at the bottom of the league. They're kind of approaching middle of the pack, and as long as your defense is elite, you can win that way. Point is, it's getting better. I think things need to change. They need to make some changes and adjustments, but I don't think it's like it ain't like the '99 team that couldn't cross the 50.
Hey,
I'll tell you that.
Molly kid, guys, he threw for like 520 something yards in his first 2 games. He hadn't been over 200 yards since. All right. And he's completing like less than 60% of his passes in that time. I'm telling you, I'll take Lenore Sellers all day long over all these young guys. All of them. Give them to me.
Absolutely.
All right, quickly.
I want to shout out James real quick that got in an Uber from Dallas Fort Worth with 2 Gamecocks he didn't know because the flight got canceled and hauled it to made it to Norman. Just wanted to
I met him. I'm pretty sure I met him.
Yeah, you met him. He did say that earlier today. He's a new club chief member. Jumped in the chat box, said that. Nice. We started talking to him.
He's the pride of James Island, and he's a great guy. He's a great guy.
Good to meet you, James.
Great guy. Great guy. I didn't even pay attention to all that. I didn't even see it over there, but great guy. He's a wonderful dude. Great Gamecock. All right, who wins? Matt, A&M, LSU. Who wins?
Going LSU.
Phil?
I got A&M.
Schubert?
Go Tigers.
Yeah, I'm with L. I think LSU. LSU's playing well. John, who wins?
LSU. Their defense has come a long ways.
Yep. Well, we all won today because Lamont Paris joined us to begin the show. Rafael Esparza joined us in the middle of the show, and Big John joined us at the end of the show. We hope you've all had a wonderful week. Next week, Carolina's back on the field. We look forward to that. Get out there and watch the baseball team play tomorrow at 4 o'clock at Founders Park. John, thanks, brother. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thanks, John.
Guys. Enjoy it.
Man. You're the man. Thanks to
I love that.
Fireworks.
I love it.
Thanks to
Every Friday, baby.
I love it. It's even better with the wall of bourbon behind it.
Yeah.
That doesn't say Friday. Nothing does.
For JC, Matt, and Phil, I'm JB. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday at 11 on ITG.